Hello, I'm Ruth, and welcome back to This Is How We Roll. This week's episode is called Avoiding Pains and Strains, and it's all about ways to avoid either you or the person that is transferring you from getting hurt while doing a transfer, as well as ways to avoid other catastrophes like falling. Before we get into the meat of this week's episode, I want to start off by saying I'm sorry there wasn't an episode last week. I was just really burnt out and sick. I'm mostly better now. I do still have the cough, but I'm going to try not to let it get in the way of our show like always. So, how do you have a safe transfer? I'm going to go over a little checklist I go through in my head before I do transfer, and then I'm going to explain what each step means. I transfer with a person helping me to stand and take some steps, but this checklist really goes for any kind of transfer. Whether you transfer yourself from your mobility equipment to another area, you or someone who transfers with a Hoyer, or you are like me. So step 1, check. Step 2, focus. Step 3, transfer. Step 1, check. Before you transfer, check to make sure it is safe. This means check to make sure that you have the correct distance from where you are currently to where you want to transfer to. Check to make sure that you're not going to slip. And finally, check to make sure that there's nothing you can get caught on. Step 2, focus. Make sure that all individuals who are going to be involved in the transfer are focused on the task at hand. For me, this means focusing my mind on my body to make sure that I can control it in the ways that I need to. If you are the one being transferred, this is always important to do. If you are the one helping with the transfer, take a moment to make sure that you are really prepared and ready. Step 3, transfer. Actually carry out the transfer knowing that you have checked for everything that could be a potential problem and that everyone is focused and ready to move. Despite how it may sound, this does not have to be a long drawn-out event. I can typically go through these 3 steps with my caregiver pretty quickly. I really just kind of glance around and make sure that everything looks correct. Then I just kind of think about my legs for a moment and then we transfer. It really doesn't take any more than a minute or so. However, this process definitely could take longer depending on how involved your transfer is. What I'm trying to say is there's no need to make it take any longer than necessary, but at the same time, it's important to make sure you take as long as you need. I have a couple of other notes about things that are often helpful in transfers, but they probably won't come up in every transfer. First of all, if you see something, say something. If you see something that can be a potential danger, it's important to speak up and say it. Even if there's no one to say it to because you transfer yourself, it's important to fix it. Even if you think it's not going to be that big of an issue, it's still important to fix it because if you don't, you're really taking a gamble as to how safe the transfer is going to be. Next, speak up. If you have someone help you transfer, it's important that you speak up if you feel something is going wrong. Or if you feel like you cannot do the transfer. It's also important that the people helping you transfer speak up if they feel like something is going wrong, or if they feel like they cannot do the transfer. For example, if you are the person being transferred, you might have to say something like, "Can I have a moment? I feel like I'm going to spasm." Or, "Is it okay if you move your arm a little further down?" If you are someone helping with the transfer, you might have to say something like, "Can I have a moment? My foot's cramping." Or, "Is it okay if you try and stand up a little bit straighter?" I know these things seem really small and insignificant, but they can make the biggest difference in the safety of a transfer if they are not addressed. Thank you for tuning in. That's all for this week. And until next time, remember we're all different, so just roll with it.